All right, here is how I use Photoshop. So I'll start with a basic template like this where I've got, here's the layers in the bottom right corner. These top two are just for, the watermark thing, and then the kills here. So I have the separate file, drag the file in, and it's layered based on, it's the same thing as Photoshop or Premiere. So the top layer is the one that shows, so I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom. And now the thing to know is here's all your tools on the left, right? The ones mainly that I use are move, obviously T for type. If you just click it, then you can select it and move it, or just click over here, move it around. And I'm just going to use, let's just do both as an example. So I just start with this template. What I'm actually going to do here, just so I have this saved still, is I'm going to duplicate this layer, which is just dragging it down onto this, which is the new layer. We'll create a new layer of it. I'm going to hide those, and we're just going to work with these. Just so that way I have backup, though. So like if I left them there, they're still there just in case I want to use them. But these are how I want them. They both have the same effects, which all the effects are here. The same stroke, the same layer. Actually, I'm not even going to put... Sometimes it looks weird if there's a drop shadow on something that I'm putting against the wall. I'm going to put these against the wall. So if I normally if I click on these two layers, right, select them both with shift click. If I do Control T, then obviously I can move it around, resize it all. Control T is just if you go to Edit, Free Transform it's called, right? So I'm going to do Control T, lets me free transform. But if I wanted to just move one corner, you see it all moves together. And I can't do that. But if I actually right-click these, because they're both selected here, and I'm going to rasterize layer style. So it just becomes like a regular picture now, rather than all this like crazy effects and whatnot. And it's all, oh wait, I did them separately. Okay, that's fine. That still works. So they're both their own individual layers still. So I'm going to shift click, make sure both of them are selected. But now look what happens if I control click. So I'm holding down control while I drag this. And now I can totally tweak it. So if I just put this into this corner, put this into this corner, put this into where I guess this is probably the corner over here, and this into this corner here, you can see how this didn't completely line up. I think my guess was a little off. Yeah, see, there we go. Now this is lined up the whole way through. And so this whole floor goes out in this direction, right? So if I wanted to match it to the... Well, first let's look at this, right? Boom. That's perfectly lined up with the hatch. So if you were to look at this, it looks like it's actually real. Then we just crop this gun on top of it and all that easy stuff. But then if I tried to adjust it from here, it really doesn't work anymore, right? It doesn't look the same because now it's all screwed up from the beginning. So I would have to go backwards. So I'll go to the history and go back to where it starts out. You want it to always be a regular square when you start. So like if you start it here and then you do Control T, you see it's not going to work out the same way because it started in this weird way. You want to... So if it is messed up, just straighten it out or go back in time, obviously, so it's perfectly straight. Then you can adjust it. So same thing. I'm just going to try and line it up with the... Let's even just do this for an extreme example. I'm going to line it up with this board right here, right? So if I do here, I do here. I know it looks weird. I'm holding down control right now. Do here and do here. You can see how it's perfectly lined up. And in this case, why am I need to put it all the way to here, right? I can't just go where I think it's going to... It's got to think about it where would it be lined up perfectly straight. And this is still not even proper. But you can see this whole wall is slightly slanted based on the angle that it's at. So you got to follow that path of where it's going. It's not perfectly vertical. And same thing over here. Now you're going to be a little bit... Actually, it's probably not even as vertical. It's probably maybe something a little more like that. Obviously, this will not be what we're going to do, but just for an extreme example. So if I wanted to put it onto the floor now, then let's just estimate... And I want it to be bigger than what this hatch is. But we could just match it. Let's go a little bigger than what the hatch is. So let's say it starts here, goes out to here, goes over to here, and goes to here. And maybe that's a little too much because I still want to be able to see the stuff when it's on that bottom tier. It's probably good. It's a bit difficult to tell, but I want to essentially keep this lined up. And if I'm thinking about it down another floor, it might be a little bit wider. Or maybe it's a little... yeah, it's probably around there. And so there's still a little bit of feel that goes into this, obviously. And actually, I'm going to make it a little smaller, so I don't even have to go as far. Let's just do... doesn't feel quite right. Right? It's a little slanted to the side still. I think it might be because I need to go down here a little more. I'm trying to think of it on the floor plane. There we go. I think that's probably better. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit more. But see, it's a little weird because this one goes so far down there, right? But that's just, if you think about it, that's, you know, I'm just following this angle of this floorboard right on the top floor. The same thing's going to be true of the bottom floor. Something that goes all the way across. It looks weird, but okay, that should be good, right? So now I'm going to crop out the gun and everything and get it on top. So I'm just going to hide these for now. And we're going to get the whole floor on top, actually. So I got to select the floor that I want to click. Now I'm going to just select everything here. And then just unselect. Or I guess I could just do it vice versa. I just select these and I could cut it out. Or do it opposite. So actually, if I just select what I want to be cut, right? And I'm using this tool called the quick selection tool. So as you mouse over it, it'll just automatically choose stuff. So as I left click, it's just automatically choosing things. So I'm choosing everything I want to be cut out. And then if I hold down left alt, I can actually mouse over it, and you see the minus in the middle. Now it's deselecting everything. So I'm going to deselect everything I don't want out of here. And it's just a really fast, easy thing to do. Takes a little bit of practice, but, you know, you'll get it. And I want to make sure I include just this portion because this is from the floor below. Deselect the gun. And that should be good. So now I'm actually going to do Shift Control I, which will select all the opposite, copy it, and paste it. There's a variety of, obviously, you probably know a different way to do this as well. But I basically just made a copy of everything besides the hatch, and this is now going to go on top of all of this. And now that's all down there. And I don't even like how that turned out. I probably should have done that first. But I think you get the idea. So what I'm going to do here is now I messed up, right? So I'm just going to delete these. That's why we have this backup layer here. Create a new copy of it. Hide those so we still have the backup. I'm going to take away the drop shadows again. Have these two, right click, rasterize layer style. So now we can move these again. And I'm actually going to move them below the layer. So now we can see what it's actually going to look like. And check this out. Make it a little tighter here. Let's go a little smaller, actually. I have an idea. Let's go pretty small. So I'm basically just going to match where these corners are. So like this corner to this corner. I'm trying to match like all these corners. This is how I'm thinking about it, right? These 4 different corners, I'm trying to have them be the equal distance apart. So you see like this corner relative to this corner, this one to this one, is down and to the right. So go down and to the right. And so I want it to be about equal. This one to this one is down and to the left. So I'm going down into the, it's got to be a little bit more to the left here. This corner to this corner is right and then a little up, right and then a little up, probably a little less. Somewhere around there, right? Just so I get a rough estimate. And then I can make it look a little nicer. And I think I want to go a little up higher here, a little lower here. And it's going to be obviously different because this is a floor below as well, so you got to keep that in mind. And I want it to be a little bit more positioned to the side so it's not interfering as much with the gun. So I'm actually going to readjust a little bit more here because now I'm not going all the way to the corner, right? I'm only going halfway. So I'm just going to go to the here, into the here, into the here. Cool. Okay, so that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. But now here's what I want to do. So I'm going to go over here. This is some options. So I'm going to do an overlay. It doesn't always work out super good, but you can see overlay makes it so it's a little transparent. And now look how much better that looks. That looks pretty cool. And yeah, it already actually has some of the yellow coming through. But if it wasn't, then I'd actually go over to this, right click, make sure the hardness is low, and I'd decrease the opacity and just make it so I'm actually erasing some of this top because there's actually this gas down there, this yellow gas. And so if I erase some of this, it looks like the gas is over it because I'm erasing some of it, right? Makes it a little harder to see. It also makes it actually look a little bit more realistic, like if I put some scuffs in it, like somebody ran over on top of it. So now it's starting to really look realistic. But I'm just erasing little streaks. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the kills. Right? So that looks like somebody maybe ran on it, but this one we're mainly just doing for the gas effect. Just randomly, just putting some, because gas is very, random how it moves anyways. So just randomly put some stuff on top of it. Now I'm just going to make it a little bit more fine, and we'll put some regular scuff marks in here. Like it's faded over time because it's been there for so long. You could also just use the overall, like decrease the opacity of the entire layer. But I think that's okay. It's already pretty difficult to see. Now I'd go in, add the gun here. Just using the quick selection tool again. And then we'll go in and fine-tune it a little. I know this is, there's tons of different ways to do this, but, whatever. This is how I usually do it. Okay, got to make sure it's nice and fine here. Actually, it looks like that's part of it. I think this is just a little hook on the gun, actually, so I'm going to get rid of this. Out there. Cool. Get some more of that. Holding down left alt again to delete some of this part. It's accidentally picking up because this thing is not perfect. Left alt again, get rid of some of this extra stuff. Sometimes you'll see when you put on the effect, it's selected too much of small pixels that you can't even tell. But you can always just erase them later. It doesn't matter. Okay. And you could also fine tune it with the other tools too. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste, make it a new layer, give it a little stroke. Yeah, see how it accidentally selected some of this stuff? And some of that stuff's not even... Oh, it's because it's under the thing. So I'm going to bring it over the layer. But yeah, it accidentally selected too much, so I'm going to go in. And I got to bring the opacity back up from my erase tool. There we go. Just get rid of all this. And I'm going to make it hard again, so that way it's just right where I put it. Cool. Now it's pretty washed out. We can figure all that out later, I guess. The way I would do that, though, just so you know, is like I'd left click. Actually, if you're holding down left control and then you click on a layer, it'll do this where it just selects that layer. Left control, click on that box. Then I'll go down to this effect. The only two effects that I ever use are levels and vibrance. So I'd go to levels here and use this little slider. Brings up the brightness. This one brings down the darkness. Make it look a little better. Actually, this one's too saturated. It's too colorful. All right, doesn't even look real. So I'm going to actually do another effect here. left control, do another effect with vibrance, and I'm actually going to bring it down in this case. Some of the colors. That looks pretty good. Because this is a little bit more of a white, I think, typically. And then the overall room now. Same thing, I'm going to control click the room and do a levels. Bring up the brightness a little, bring this down a touch. So it's really easy to see. But you can see it, when I do that, it screws up this little bar up here. And that's fine. I'm actually just going to grab the bar, and I'm going to use a different selection tool. This is the polygon lasso tool. This one's a little easier for straight lines. Just click here, click, and click. And actually, I want the match point as well. You very well probably already know this stuff, but I'm just going through it all. How do I add? See, it's doing subtract. There we go. I'm holding down shift. All right, let's grab the match point too. Okay. Definitely made a mistake there. I gotta make sure I'm copying the right layer. So I'm gonna copy this layer, paste. Cool. Bring it up. Cool. Just make it giant so people could see. 3-1. 1 second left. Match point. There we go. Super obvious, right? 3-0, match point. And you can see the marks there. So what I'm actually going to do is right click, bring the hardness down. That'll make it so it's this real, because it's not hard, it's soft now. So it makes the edges really soft. And I'm just going to give it a little erase right on the side here. So it looks like it blends a little bit more. And I'm also going to left control click this again. And actually what I could do, I'm going to bring this under this. There we go. Do that instead. So I brought this layer that's affecting all the brightness and everything under that, which will help keep this a little bit more stable. And the final touch, I think this is a little too big, so I'm going to bring this a little smaller actually. It's not that big of a deal. Cool. And there it is. That's the thumbnail. Maybe even make it a little bigger. Oh, I still need the number actually too. All right, let me bring this back. This was our template one, remember? So I'm going to hide it again. Number 253. This doesn't have to be a big deal, so I'm just going to put it into the bottom corner here. Most people don't even look at it, I don't think. And just for the sake of, yeah, I think that's good. I think we'll make it a little bigger. So what I try and do is I try and make these thumbnails so they're really easy to see when it's something that's tiny, right? Because a lot of people just look at it on their phone. So we want to make it sure it's really easy to see when it's tiny. So what I'm actually going to do here is highlight all the layers under the main one there and make it bigger. Just so it's super easy to see for them. Now I don't really like it as much. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. Maybe just a little bigger, I guess. Because I like this guy in it as well. Adds a little bit more of a touch. The top 10 is a little, when I'm looking at this, it is a little faded. So what I'm actually going to do, because I don't think I can bring it back, so I just grabbed it and duplicated it, so now it's twice as bright here. Now I'm just going to take the top one and decrease its opacity a little, just to make it a little more stand out. Yeah, it should be good. But you can see it's really obvious. There's smoke down there. There's a hatch. We could even add an arrow of like, let's see what it looks like. Let's add a red arrow. That's way too weird of an arrow. But you know, like he's got to go down, basically is what I'm trying to showcase. but I do want it to be on top of the gun and then not behind the gun. So what if I put it on top of the gun layer? Why is it doing that, though? Oh, it's because of the effect that I put on. So I got to put it above that. There we go. And we want it to kind of melt in with that. Put a little stroke on it. Yeah. I think that looks good. Oops. Do a little erase tool. Bring the hardness up to 100 so it looks nice and sharp. Yeah. I like it. There it is. This part's a little messed up, but obviously, normally I wouldn't take that as the picture. And actually, this top part still looks a little faded of this bar. So what I'm going to do is select it, do a color, or levels, I mean. Bring some of the darkness into it. There we go. Bring the blacks a little, make them a little blacker. There we go. I like it. There it is.